After over 3 years of war in the North, the British had not been able to win. They decided to change their strategy. A strategy is a plan of action. In 1779, they made a plan to invade the South with a small army. They thought the South had more loyalists than the North did. With support from these loyalists, the British hoped to win the war. At first, the new British strategy worked. They captured Savannah, Georgia, and Charleston, South Carolina. They defeated the Americans in every battle they fought. By the summer of 1780, the British controlled Georgia and South Carolina, and many loyalists had come to help them. The British also had the help of Benedict Arnold. As you remember, Benedict Arnold had been the patriot hero of the Battle of Saratoga. Later on, he secretly changed sides and became a British general. Patriots were shocked to hear that Arnold had changed sides. Today, Benedict Arnold is remembered as a traitor. A traitor is someone who is not loyal. Although the British won many battles in the South, Southern patriots fought back, often using surprise attacks. Groups of soldiers would sneak up on the British, attack, and retreat quickly. Colonel Francis Marion was so good at attacking and retreating through swamps that he became known as the Swamp Fox. The commander of the American army in the South, Nathanael Greene, made a plan to wear out the British army. His small army could move faster than the British. Greene forced the British army, led by General Charles Cornwallis, to chase him. This tired the British soldiers and used up their supplies of food and gunpowder. The British beat Greene in every major battle, but they could not destroy his army. Nathanael Greene is quoted as saying, "We fight, get beat, rise, and fight again." In the spring of 1781, Cornwallis had to retreat. Greene's strategy to wear out the British had worked. The British were losing the war in the West as well. George Rogers Clark and about 200 patriots captured British forts in the Ohio River Valley. After Spain declared war on Britain in 1779, the governor of Louisiana attacked British forts. His army captured forts at Baton Rouge. In the summer of 1781, the British army, led by Cornwallis, was camped at Yorktown, Virginia. When Washington learned of this, he marched his army south from New York to Virginia. Ships from the French Navy sailed to meet him there. Cornwallis was taken by surprise. Washington's army and the French Navy trapped the British army at Yorktown. The Americans and French fired their cannons at the British day and night. At first, Cornwallis expected to be rescued. The British still had many soldiers and ships in New York City. However, the British Navy could not defeat the French ships that blockaded Yorktown. After fighting for a week, Cornwallis realized he could not win the battle. He was surrounded by the Americans and the French, and no help was coming. On the morning of October 19th, 1781, the British army surrendered at Yorktown. To surrender means to give up. Over 7,000 British soldiers marched out of Yorktown, walking between long lines of French and American soldiers. The British laid down their weapons in a grassy field. The Battle of Yorktown was over. Yorktown was the last big battle of the War for Independence. The war continued for 2 more years, but there was little fighting. The Americans had defeated one of the most powerful armies in the world. They had won the war and their independence. On September 3, 1783, the United States and Britain signed the Treaty of Paris. This treaty recognized that the United States was an independent nation. It also gave the Americans more land. The United States now reached north to British Canada, west to the Mississippi River, and south to Spanish Florida. The war was over, but Americans faced new challenges. One challenge was slavery. The Declaration of Independence inspired some people to question whether slavery should still exist. African Americans began to demand their freedom in court, and some won. Another challenge for Americans was how they would rule themselves. What kind of government would they create to replace King George III? Americans would have to decide. Mercy Otis Warren, a writer, called the new nation a child just learning to walk. The new nation faced many questions as it took its place in the world.